Hi, welcome back to Waxing On. Today, Friday, we're going to look at a country album. Well, I'd say, yeah, country, involving three superstars, all involved in country music at some point. And in the, I guess, mid to the late 1980s, 1987, they got together and put out an album. The supergroup, Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt, Emmy Harris, and the album was Trio. Now, Dolly had been around for quite a while. I can remember back in the 60s. Actually, I remember going to my uncle's place in the 60s, Sunday afternoon, and some TV show was on. I don't know what it was, because back in those days, we only had a few channels we could pick up, and often featured Dolly Parton and Porter Wagoner. Now, I wasn't really listening to it at that point, other than we knew who Dolly and Porter were. I mean, the names kept popping up. I really didn't come around to listening to Dolly Parton until the crossover years. I'm going to say from 9 to 5. Once that album came out and she was doing something a little different than the regular country music, and I'm calling it crossover, then I started buying some of her albums. So I really enjoyed that too. If you've been watching the show, you know Emmy Harris. Yeah, that's certainly somebody we profiled. I have quite a few of her albums and cassettes. She was somebody that I really enjoyed. And of course, what can I say about Linda Ronstadt? If you've been watching it, you know. I mean, I think she was one of the greatest singers of my generation. She did country, she was rock, she did Broadway, big band, the Nelson Riddle albums we talked about. She's done it all. And on here, we've got three classic vocalists together doing an album that is long, long overdue. Sure, in the back, we got another picture of the ladies. A little information there. I'll just give you a breakdown of what we're looking at on here. I'm just going to grab another disc. Now, this was one I had on cassette quite a while ago. I didn't have it on album, but I recently acquired the album, so it was great to get it back on the vinyl again. Let's look at who's playing on here. Firstly, I mean, musicians. We've got Emmy Harris, of course, vocals, guitar, arrangement on one of the tunes, Dolly Parton, Linda Ronstadt. Now, list them all as lead vocals, but I'll have to tell you I was a little disappointed in the album in that Linda didn't do near the lead vocaling I would like to have heard. She claims she was happier doing the harmony vocals, and like I say, all three of them sound great. Of course, I would have liked to have heard Linda Ronstadt featured a little more in it, but it's neither here nor there. Still a great album. Albert Lee on guitar. There's a name we recognize. We got David Lindley. You may remember him. We talked about him during the Jackson Browne episode when we talked about the Running on Empty album. David Lindley, a session player. He's showing up on a couple of other albums we talked about. So he's in here. We got Ry Cooder, also another familiar name that we've come across. Mark O'Connor, violin, viola, fiddle, acoustic guitar, lead guitar, mandolin. I remember back in the 80s, I'm going to say it was, we first got cable TV where I am, and we had what they called the Nashville Network, and Mark O'Connor was featured a lot on it, a lot of country music shows there. We've got Russ Kunkel on drums, and here again, a name that shows up a lot, and we've talked about him a lot on this program, Leland Sklar playing bass. So we've got a lot of great studio musicians, a lot of great Los Angeles-based musicians. And what are we doing for tunes? Well, let's take a look. The Pain of Loving You by Dolly Parton and Porter Wagoner. So there's those two names back together again. Making Plans. I Don't Know How to Love Him by Phil Spector. Yeah, we've heard that name a few times on here, haven't we? Jimmy Rogers, Hobo Meditation. Another Dolly Parton tune called Meditation. We've got Wildflowers. No, sorry. Wildflowers was Dolly Parton. Hobo's Meditation was Jimmy Rogers. Telling Me Lies, My Dear Companion by Gene Ritchie. Those Memories of You, I've Had Enough by Kate McGarrigle. Now, we've got a duo up here, Kate and Anna McGarrigle, and I haven't really featured them yet. I may pull out one of their albums. They were kind of in that folk era, I believe from Quebec. We'll maybe pull out one of their albums if I can dig it out here for the next couple of weeks. But hey, they featured one of her tunes on here. So Kate McGarrigle's I've Had Enough. Rosewood Casket, traditional. And another traditional tune, this one arranged by Emmy Lou, was Further Along. I don't know what I can say about the album. I mean, other than the fact you've got three superstars together on here, how can it go wrong? It was one that when I saw it, I snatched it up right away. I mean, how can I go wrong? Dolly Parton, Emmylou Harris, Linda Ronstadt. They actually had a sequel to this. It was a second trio album that came out. And the downside is not a lot of touring. Even this group here, I've only seen one of them live, and that was last year at the Ottawa Jazz Festival, and it's called the Jazz Festival, but it featured Emmylou Harris. We got a very broad definition of what they consider jazz during the summertime. It's more of a music festival. But yes, Emmylou in her 70s still out and touring. And it was great to be able to see her perform live. But the trio, a super group. If you get a chance, pick up the album. Streaming networks, absolutely. This one was a discount bin find, or not to say discount bin. It came from one of the, whether you call it flea markets, church bazaars, anywhere where people are getting rid of things from their homes. It's surprising how many people now from my era are getting rid of their albums. They just don't want them anymore. We've all moved digital, and we don't need to store these around. So a lot of these are showing up in cassettes, CDs, or vinyl. And people are getting rid of them, and you can get your hands on them at a really good price. You just have to kind of shop around, and if you're like me, when I go to one of those places, I'm into the bins right away just to see what's there. You never know what you might find. So today, wrapping up the week with the country supergroup trio album, Ronstadt, Parton, Emmylou. Check them out. So, weekend, well gosh, we're well halfway through January now. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday, but until then, take care, stay safe, and thanks for stopping by.